Hey guys, it's your BadgerDad Mike back with another video. I'm working on a video about the Expanse. I'm working on that. That should be coming out soon. I just wanted to briefly touch on a topic that's kind of been bugging me. It's grinding my gears. And that is hugging in the workplace. It's a weird thing because we've just been going through a couple years of the COVID pandemic. Prior to that, we had the Me Too movement within the last decade. And there's a lot of emphasis that's been, if you're in a corporate environment, around sexual harassment and code of conduct and training. And most workplaces today, there's at least some form, cases that have come out about this, about sexual harassment in the workplace and just in general, how people perceive the work environment and perceive what's allowed and not allowed. And it's very bizarre that even with all this reunion where a lot of people got back together and there was a lot of that, a lot of people taking it, oh, I'm vaccinated, therefore hugs, kisses on the cheek, that kind of stuff, even among workplace colleagues, which I thought was very strange. And it's even more strange to me because there's been so many cases of where just hugging someone where that has led to active court cases and has led to people losing their jobs, being plastered on the news, having all kinds of problems in their life. There are many scientific studies that show that men and women trade hormones and actively can lead to intended or even unintended biological pairing, bonding, just by that physical contact in as little as 20 seconds. And beyond that, it's a very touchy subject because even in day-to-day life, you don't know what people have gone through in their lives and how comfortable they are with intimacies.
Gottsman is here this morning. She is our etiquette expert. So good to see you.
Nice to see you.
I know,
nice to touch you.
I know, right? So this all came about the other day because there was a big article about Vice President Joe Biden. The Secretary of Defense was giving a speech. His wife was there in the room, and the Vice President came up behind her, put his arms on her shoulders, and started whispering sweet nothings into her ear.
Their whole idea, the problem with this is we don't know what message we're sending and what it looks like to others.
Okay,
so or how it feels to others.
Exactly. And so that is the question. When you're at work, what is appropriate and what's not appropriate when it comes to touching?
Yes.
So number one, you say basically that the rule of thumb is keep your hands to yourself.
Hands off. Because we're not sure how the other person feels. And a conventional greeting in business is a handshake.
Stranger, but even in a work environment, even with people you've worked with, they're not your friends, they're not your family, and it's very strange that it's become almost acceptable. This is how we engage one another. And you'd think, oh, this is so easy to move past. Just say, I don't hug in the work environment, or just hold your hands up when someone comes to hug you. Sure, but sometimes if you have very senior people in the room, you have very senior people meeting one another and setting a certain standard of this is what we do, or even saying, oh, don't worry about it, or even pushing past someone's resistance to it and just hugging the person even against their will and thinking that's acceptable. I find that happens more often than I'd like. And of course, while this has happened historically more often to women from men, it does happen the other way as well. And this can make things very uncomfortable, particularly for men. And I think it's important too, because if you're a husband, if you're a partner, if you are in a relationship, this is even more uncomfortable. If you have women in the workplace walking up to you, hugging you, this kind of stuff, it's very bizarre that this is somehow acceptable, that there is not firmer rules about it. And this can happen you could be rushed, it can be surprised, or even pressured by those in positions of power above you. This can also create an optic of a greater intimacy with someone than that actually exists, just because in a public-facing environment, in a workplace environment, that someone, regardless of gender, goes and hugs someone else. Now, the reason this really bugged me is because I thought post-COVID that this would be something that would diminish significantly. And the fact that right at the first reunion in my work environment, this was going on, it tells me that this is a topic that maybe not everyone is as mindful of. And I would say that as workplaces are opening and as in-office and job site work is more and more prevalent, I think it's important that we think about how freely contact is given in professional environments. Your colleagues are not your friends, and in an environment of heightened sensitivity like we're in today, it's even more important to think more about the other person than about how you feel about it. And some people are very extroverted, like to have physical contact, and sure, there are plenty of cases where that's acceptable when the other person is fine with it. But in general, the business handshake is there for a reason. I'd even say today, you can hold your hands up and be like, I'm not comfortable with physical contact. And there's really no reason there should be any sort of pressure or any sort of acceptance of hugging in the work environment. Hugging is not for work. It's about how the other person feels, and you don't know how the other person feels, except in very, very rare situations. Don't mistake one for the other. What have you guys experienced in this environment? Certainly, if you're in a relationship, how do these kind of things make you feel? Have you ever seen it in your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts down below. Please drop a comment, and we'll get talking there. It's your BadgerDad Mike signing off. Till the next one.